Welcome back to the Innovation Engine podcast. On this week's very special episode, we'll be delving deeper into the realm of virtual reality by getting hands-on with an HTC Vive and Samsung Gear VR, all while letting the audio and 360-degree video roll. Joining us here at 3Pillar in our Innovation Lab today to walk us through these products and to talk about what we should all expect from the brave new world of virtual reality is Mitch Gelman. Mitch Gelman is a senior fellow in media and technology at the Museum. Previously, he was VP of product at Gannett, where he oversaw digital product development in key areas for properties that included more than 90 national and local news entities across the USA Today network. Mitch was the executive producer on USA Today's award-winning Harvest for Change VR series, and he's won awards including the Pulitzer, the News Innovation Award from the Knight Foundation, and the Best Use of Technology in Journalism from the National Press Foundation. He was one of the co-authors of the Knight Foundation's recently released white paper, Viewing the Future of Virtual Reality in Journalism. Welcome to the podcast, Mitch.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Absolutely. We're thrilled to have you, along with the myriad devices that you brought. So let's start off today talking about those devices and the experiences you're going to guide us through today. As I mentioned in the intro, we have the Samsung Gear VR and the HTC Vive here. What's the difference between these two, and also between these and another device that we hear about a lot, the Oculus Rift?
Great question. And the way to start is to let you know that we hear about VR. Mm-hmm. We hear about virtual reality. Yeah. But when people talk about virtual reality, they're talking about many different things. Mm-hmm. VR is many things. At its base, it is creating experiential storytelling, putting you in an environment that allows you to immerse yourself in a place that you otherwise can't go on your own.
Right.
But in order to do that, there's many different levels. The fundamental level, the basic VR today in April, May 2016, is spherical video. Okay. A 360-degree video that captures up and down and all around. What you're shooting with today, the Theta S, is a very small camera that captures spherical video. Spherical video can be seen at its basic level in a cardboard viewer on a application that uses your smartphone as the monitor. So you open up the app in the smartphone, you touch on the video, and can take you to multiple different places. The New York Times recently delivered 1.3 million cardboard viewers with their Sunday paper to the subscribers and allowed their subscribers to download an app on their smartphones that played a VR piece called The Displaced. It followed the story of 3 refugees, and the viewer was able to look around and be with those refugees on their journey to Europe. Similarly, USA Today has taken people to Cuba, Up with the Blue Angels. Discovery Channel has brought people into the wild with Survivor Man, and in very simple, spherical, 360-degree video, you can look around. The next step up from that is a partnership between Samsung and Facebook's Oculus company. Mm-hmm. And that can be viewed on a hard plastic viewer called the Samsung Gear. This is an upsell for Samsung that connects with their Galaxy and Note phones. Mm-hmm. You plug in to your viewer, your Samsung phone, put on the Gear VR, and you get a 360-degree environment that is much more vivid than what you can get on a cardboard viewer. So in this case, when you're flying with the Blue Angels or when you're watching The Lion King, You go into an immersive experience that captures the scene and places you in the middle of it. In addition to live video, there's also CGI-driven experiences where you can go in and battle with the Avengers and follow characters that have been created for the gear. At Sundance this past January, there were 31 different VR exhibits, many of which were built for viewing at this more vivid spherical level with the Gear VR. The next level up in VR is a fully immersive room scale walk around experience. HTC, formerly known for manufacturing of mobile phones, has moved into the virtual reality hardware space in partnership with Valve, the company that makes Steam games and the Steam machine. So they have taken many of their games and brought them into a VR experience. It is a multi-level, stereoscopic experience in which you put on a head-mounted device in which you're being tracked by two motion sensors that follow you around the experience. One of the most telling pieces that can be seen with the Vive is called Blue. It's a underwater encounter in which you are walking around the deck of a sunken ship amidst stingrays and fish and the whales that come by. Other examples are you can climb a mountain and look over the edge, or you can play, anybody who has kids plays Fruit Ninja. You can pick up a sword and fly around the room trying to cut the fruit to score points in a game of fully immersive Fruit Ninja. The Oculus Rift, which has also begun to ship at around this time, is more similar to the HTC Vive. It gives you the opportunity to have a high-level immersive experience. It's not room scale or walk around at this point, but it does allow you to interact with the experience. The Vive comes with controllers that let you go in and, wield a sword or shoot confetti as part of your interactive experience. The Oculus Rift, which is only a headset now, is releasing 2 touch controllers possibly later this year or early 2017 that will not only let you interact with the environment you're in, but the Rift will also create an environment in which people in different locations can have a social experience by appearing in the same virtual scene simultaneously. That's why when Mark Zuckerberg talks about why Facebook invested $2 billion to purchase Oculus, he believes that VR is going to be the next great computing platform, and that people will no longer share moments as they can in Facebook today, but will be able to share experiences, which is what the experiential storytelling and immersive aspect of this new medium provides.
Well, speaking of experiential storytelling, we're going to try to do some of that on our own here today on the Innovation Engine podcast. I think we have a few folks that we're going to walk through some of these products. So without further ado, I'm going to take a pause and we'll come back and finish up some more questions, several questions about the future of virtual reality. So hold the phones and we'll be right back with you.
Hello, everyone. Wow, there are a lot of people here. Oh, yeah. Not mine. Yeah. Whoa!
All right, so we have audio of you rolling, so let us know some of the things that you're seeing.
Lots of fish. Oh, stingrays. Very cool. There's a fish. Oh, shipwreck.
Look down, walk around.
Wow. Right over the side. Underwater caves and crevices. Underwater mountains. Wow. That's a cool old ship. What is it? Fishing trawler, maybe? Hard to tell. Yeah, there's fish like right in front of me. Stingray just came over my head. Wow, that's a deep cavern there. Wow. It's so real. It's almost like you can reach out and you really do want to touch the floor and the cables. Oh my, there's a whale. It's ginormous. Where'd he come from? Hoo-hoo-hoo. He's like right off the edge. Yep, he's about to hit me with his flipper. Luckily, I'm in a virtual world.
I am definitely there. Is there, so this looks pretty, oh God. Not seeing my, okay, I see the lasers. So not seeing my own feet is interesting. Wait. Hello. This is fantastic. Okay. Whoa. Oh, wow. Yeah. All right. So here's my observation. My daughter was wondering about take your child to work day, and that's tomorrow, and she missed it. Okay, and we're back with Mitch Gelman after I spent some time laughing my face off at a pretty humorous kind of Americanized version of a person dropped into Gladiator. Also took a nice walk on Big Blue, I believe it's called. Saw a huge humpback whale and assorted other things from folks that you will get a chance to hear earlier in the podcast. But so Mitch, let me ask, you're going to be giving a few presentations on the potential power of VR in the next few weeks. One will be at the museum tomorrow night in DC, and one will be in Miami in a few weeks. So for folks that won't be lucky enough to be at either of those two events in person, can you give a bit of an overview of what you'll be talking about?
Yeah, I'd love to. The first thing that I'll be talking about is the question of whether the virtual reality experiences are going to live up to the virtual reality hype.
Right.
And that's a question on everybody's mind, in large part because over the last 4 or 5 years, more than $4 billion has been invested in this area. A significant amount of it in hardware, about 55% in real-world applications, so that people that are working on apps for entertainment, for medical treatment, for job training, auto manufacturing, many different applications of this emerging technology, and then education and gaming, of course, which is the first mover in terms of the experiences that are being created. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to talk about the incredible investment and confidence that many technology and content production companies have made in this area. In 2015, there were about 229 individual investors, which was a 27% increase over the number of individual investors who had put money into this technology the previous year. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing a rapid increase on top of that already in 2016.
Sorry, I'm just going to get this a little more out in front of you, if that's okay.
What that's enabled us to observe is the evolution of the technology that's powering the new medium. Mm-hmm. So there are two things that need to come together in order for VR to catch on. The first are the headsets, the way you view the content. And we'll talk about the evolution of those headsets. From the cardboard viewer, Google shipped 500,000 of those in 2014, 5 million in 2015. And now, a step up from the cardboard is the Samsung Oculus Gear VR, which is a upsell to the Samsung Galaxy and Note phones. Oculus is releasing the Rift, and HTC, the walk-around experience that includes motion sensors. And then Sony is going to come on at the end of the year with a modest upsell that will give you a VR headset device and controllers that will connect to the PlayStation. What's significant about that is with the Oculus Rift and the Vive, the user needs to have a computer that's going to run the system. With PlayStation and Sony, there's already 37 million PlayStations installed across the consumer marketplace around the United States and the rest of the world. There's going to be a significant potential for more people to experience not only the gaming, but also the storytelling of VR when the headset is delivered by Sony, which is expected at the end of the year. The second key piece, in addition to the viewing, that I think we're going to see an expansion of content creation is the way the cameras are evolving. Well, you've already talked a little bit about the Ricoh Theta S, a handheld camera smaller than a television remote control that can shoot in 360-degree spherical video. It can take spherical stills at high quality. It can take cardboard quality or small screen quality 360-degree spherical video. And what's significant about that, and Ricoh released this, at the end of last year, is that there's no post-production involved other than basic editing. You don't have to stitch multiple camera feeds together, which can be time-consuming and expensive. Higher quality content and stories come when you do have to stitch together the feeds. 6 GoPros in an array or 2 GoPros in a device that harnesses them together can create much higher quality video, but requires using either AutoPanner or Color or Video Stitch software at this point in the post-production stage to pull those different camera views together. Nokia is introducing or has introduced a professional cinematic quality camera that's being used a lot in Hollywood right now for higher end productions, and that's called the OZO. The OZO has 8 cameras and, as important, 8 microphones that are built into what's essentially looks like a large egg shaped camera. And that allows not only the multiple views to capture high quality spherical video at a very good resolution, but it also gives you the chance to program directional sound into the experience by using the 8 microphones and combining the microphones with the stereoscopic imagery that is captured. So that's a camera that's coming on the scene for higher level production. At its F8 conference 2 weeks ago, Facebook, which bought Oculus for $2+ billion, announced that they're releasing a camera also. Their camera is a combination of 17, I believe, different lenses and will provide auto-stitching software in the cloud that will help pull those together and produce video that Facebook believes is going to be very popular in your news feed in the not too distant future. So that's those are the 2 primary trends that I'm going to be talking about in these presentations. That the investment is there, and what it's driving is evolution in camera and in head-mounted device technology.
Nice. And you mentioned Facebook. From my limited experience creating 360 or VR video, seems like Facebook and YouTube are the two companies that are kind of leading the charge in making VR content easily accessible to consumers. Is there anybody else out there that's doing anything along the same lines as the two of those companies?
Samsung is very involved in creating applications for acquisition of high-end content. HTC just announced within the past 24 hours that they're setting up a fund to support content creators who are going to be able to get money to go out and produce higher-end experiences for the immersive environment that HTC offers. And then there are smaller companies that are building applications and getting out front in terms of this technology. The Washington Post, the New York Times, USA Today, The Guardian, Riot, which was recently purchased by AOL's Huffington Post, are all investing in VR production units that are using the storytelling to technology to create more immersive journalism. The biggest fear, that the technology and hardware manufacturers have right now is bad content. That people who try the VR experiences, if they're exposed at first blush to stories that aren't that compelling or video that doesn't make them want to come back for more, may not tell their friends to go out and buy the device and may not come back for repeat visits. So what they're looking to now is to provide the best answer to the fear of bad content, and that is supporting the production of quality content. Do you want to talk for a minute about what makes quality content and great storytelling in this medium?
I would love to, because I know you have experience with it, and I imagine it also creates some unique challenges for actual content creators. Not only now do you have to, think about a frame that's right in front of you, you have to think about a panorama of everything, as we just witnessed, for example, somebody tearing down a box right behind us. You have to be in control of all of the elements around you. But yes, I would love to hear, some of the challenges around creating quality content.
Well, to the point that you just made, even for professional actors and television producers, this is a brand new medium. There've been people in the VR space who, perhaps a little bit prematurely, have teased others in traditional filmmaking, and they say, "Oh, you're just out producing flatties." The flatties are still driving a significant amount of entertainment attention across our universe right now. And VR, if it's fortunate, spherical video, if it picks up, may be able to compete with that. But in the meantime, there are filmmakers and television producers and journalists who are playing around with experiments in this technology. One of the first to do it was the Turner show Major Crimes. After shooting its television scenes, what the director and the executive producer of Major Crimes have tried to do is take all the cameras and all of the non-actors off of the stage, off of the set, and put down a couple of VR cameras in places where the action of that scene is going to occur, and then say, okay, one more time, we're going to do this for VR. And the interesting challenge there is it brings into play the keys to producing high-quality content and storytelling in this medium, which are, one, offering a sense of presence, giving the audience the feeling that they are in a place that in reality they're not. Bringing them into the scene. From a news perspective, what I've told people who are shooting news stories in this medium is that traditionally we've been able to bring the news to our audience or to our readers. Now we can bring them into the news. So presence is one key. The second key is perspective, providing different perspectives through this spherical view that allows people to either move around or to look around and see characters or parts of the room that a director might otherwise have thought was not as important enough to be the focus of his or her cut, but somebody else might find interesting. So getting the right presence and getting the right perspective is key. When Major Crimes did this, what the producer told the actors who had never before been exposed to this type of filming is, if you can see the camera can see you. And when they ran through the scene, some of the actors were like, wow, that was like doing theater. Everybody had to be on because everybody could be seen at all times in the shot. So perspective, presence, and an understanding that everything is in the shot at all times is key to understanding how to create great experiential storytelling. And if you do that, you can take people to places like Mars or to Havana, Cuba, into the skies with the Blue Angels, the Oval Office, onto a mountaintop, under the sea, with actors and actresses preparing for the Oscars. One news organization went to North Korea, another into the center of the Ebola crisis, and yet another to Syria, where it captured scenes and brought people into the experience in a way that offered perspective and offered presence, the two criteria and concepts that define VR as its own medium.
Mm-hmm. And sticking with that, let me ask, do you see VR being kind of the next step in the evolution of TV? Is VR to TV as TV was to radio?
That's a great question, and it is one that hasn't been answered yet.
Yeah.
There are currently incredible reasons to believe that VR has great promise as an emerging technology that's going to lead to a new form of storytelling, that the Minecraft generation that expects fully immersive, interactive experiences that comes out of a video game universe in which the participant gets to influence the way the story is being told, or a non-linear approach to compiling facts and information in order to build a story. There are many reasons to think that VR is going to fulfill that promise. There's great story potential. It offers the opportunity to connect with an audience in ways that provide deeper empathy than traditional media. The market is growing overall. It is a powerful emerging technology that's evolving, if not weekly, certainly monthly or quarterly, in terms of the abilities and the feature set. And there are tremendous ad and sponsorship opportunities within these experiences. On the other hand, each of those promises comes with a challenge that is going to need to be addressed and solved in order for those promises to potentially be fulfilled. Great storytelling means that we're going to have to figure out as storytellers, what is the new narrative structure in a nonlinear, fully spherical environment? There are ethical questions that go along with the deeper empathy. People are exposed to views and perspectives that there may have been a reason the director or the news producer didn't want to include in a single frame version of the story. The adoption potential of the headsets and the technology systems, still uncharted. We're going to find out how quickly that aspect of the market will emerge. The headsets need to become smaller. The systems need to be less expensive. The content needs to get better. Production costs, even though the technology is emerging and we are getting to the point where we're going to have higher quality, no-stitch, stereoscopic cameras to work with, the production costs are still relatively high compared to traditional video. And in terms of advertisers and sponsorships going in and supporting the medium that exists, there's also a direct-to-consumer option where brands can go direct to the consumer with this content and bypass the support of the storytellers in traditional television and newspaper, magazine production as we know it today.
Okay, nice. Your background is in media, obviously, and I know we're talking a lot about media, but I wonder also if I'm limiting the scope, or I'm sure that I am limiting the scope of VR by asking a question like, is it to TV what TV was to radio? Because I'm sure there are many industries beyond just media that are set to be impacted by VR. Are there some that you think, or that you have already seen, great possible applications of the technology being, put into play?
Yes, of course. Some of the key areas that are taking advantage of this emerging technology already are medicine, in which it's being used for treatment, for connecting people on the scene in war zones to experts back in hospital centers. There is a significant amount of work being done in medical treatment in terms of treating PTSD and even burn victims. There's one example in which a VR experience was created in a polar environment, and when provided to burn victims, it actually helped reduce the pain that they were feeling by being in this polar setting due to the presence and the way VR has the opportunity to essentially hack the brain and make you believe that you're feeling sensations that only exist in a virtual environment. So there's medical uses, there's job training uses, there's real estate companies that are using it to get people virtual tours of homes and properties. There are automotive companies and manufacturing groups that are beginning to use VR to save money, run simulations, and move more quickly through the iterative process of the design and the delivery of their products.
Yeah. And let me ask about consumer adoption. We hear often about the rapid expansion of mobile devices, for example. I think the fastest consumer device in history to go from 10% saturation to 90%. Any idea on numbers or metrics of how quickly VR headsets will be adopted by the general public, or rough estimates at this point?
I think what we're doing right now is benchmarking where we are. So benchmarking the amount of storytelling, the amount of experiences that are being produced, the number of applications that are being released, or the amount of content that's being consolidated into centralized applications, the VR equivalent of the network effect, we're beginning to document and track the distribution of the headsets and also the spend by advertisers and brands in this area. So at this point, we're still benchmarking where the ecosystem is. Over the course of the next few years, we're going to know, did the combination of content, of monetization, and the reduction in cost and size and the improvement in ease of use of the technological systems, did they come together in order to create the type of growth the medium has the potential to achieve.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Yeah.
So we'll see over the next few years whether or not VR becomes the type of collective experience, shared experience, or even individual focused opportunity to absorb information in the way that previous mediums have. What's going to be is VR going to take its place as the new front porch, the way print magazines and newspapers did originally on the front porch, where you could go off in a corner and read your magazine or your book. That front porch moved into the living room with the advent of broadcast, and then ultimately cable television, where families congregated to share that medium. You look around over the last few years and people gather around their smartphones and share information. So the mobile phone has become, one of the newest front porches. And now the question is whether or not consoles and head-mounted devices are going to be a place where people aggregate either together or virtually in the same place to share those experiences and engage with the storytelling that is being developed.
Yeah. And is it, do you think we'll get to a point where you put on a pair of glasses and see the same thing that you might where you're putting on a headset now? Or do you think that kind of the immersive experience relies a little bit on almost like having blinders on?
I mean, that's a great question. I was talking to somebody the other night who told me something I had never realized before, which is that when Gutenberg came out with the printing press, that throughout his lifetime, he was printing large-scale manuscripts that people read aloud and shared. And it wasn't until later, after his death, that our Italians came up with the idea of having smaller, more compact print products that would evolve into books that people were absorbing as individual experiences. So whether or not there's shared experiences through VR, or whether or not it's an individually focused, immersive context, we're going to find out. And it may be that there are going to be different types of experiences that you're going to want to share, and others that you're going to want to have and keep more personal. And there'll be different ways to access that type of information and content and coverage and storytelling, and as we move forward.
Yeah. And I know you're not here to endorse any one product over another. We're very grateful for you. We're very grateful to you for bringing everything in. But if you're Mitch Gelman at home and you're strapping on a VR headset of choice, that VR headset is?
Well, it depends what you already have at home.
Okay.
If you've got a powerful computer, go out and buy the Vive and bring that home. If you own a Samsung phone, don't worry about the Vive. Pick up for $99 a Gear VR that everybody can share, and there's a lot of great experiences that exist out there. If you've got a PlayStation, wait a few months until Sony releases its headset. And if you don't have any of those, just download an app on your cell phone and get a cardboard viewer for $10, $12 on Amazon, and at least get started in exploring the experiences. And as we move through the VR phase that we're currently in, on the horizon is augmented reality. And the difference between VR and AR is that while VR brings you into a place that you are not in, what augmented reality does is it overlays a virtual experience on top of the world that exists around you. Mm-hmm. So as we move forward into that new experience, you're going to see the VR devices getting smaller and easier to use, and then the augmented reality devices picking up where they left. I saw a demo from a company called Magic Leap that is well funded in this area. The other day they released a video showing the potential of their vision for augmented reality, and it essentially turns your home into a virtual interface. So it's an exciting time for for storytelling and connectivity, and can't wait to see where it goes.
Okay, very nice. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Mitch. Much appreciated.
Well, thanks for letting me participate in your podcast.
Absolutely. Look forward to getting it out there. And I think some of the 360 video, I'm looking at the app on my phone, and it looks like we may have lost part of the episode, but we'll use whatever we have just to give people a little bit of insight into what the world of 360-degree video and VR video holds as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks very much to Mitch Gelman for joining us for this very special episode of the podcast. If you'd like to hear more of his thoughts on where the world of VR is going, particularly as it relates to journalism, I'd encourage you to read the Knight Foundation's white paper on VR that Mitch co-authored. It's titled Viewing the Future of Virtual Reality in Journalism, and it's available to download for free on the Knight Foundation's website. Thanks once again to Mitch Gelman for joining us for this episode of the podcast, and thank you for joining us. Don't forget to tune into the next episode when we're very excited to have Alex Tapscott joining us to talk about the soon-to-be-released book that he co-wrote titled Blockchain Revolution: How the Technology Behind Bitcoin is Changing Money, Business, and the World. We'll look at what exactly the blockchain is, talk about why Alex and his co-author and father Don Tapscott think the blockchain will fundamentally transform the way businesses operate, and much more. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.